Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Harvey Oberfeld. You might remember him from television, where he was a national reporter, talking about BC issues in Ottawa for the longest time. He was great at prying answers out of people like Pierre Trudeau. And I guess Justin might be easier to question, but I don't know if his answers are any better. Harvey, today we're going to be talking about BC politics. The first one, will Christy Clark still be around as leader of the Liberals no matter what happens in the legislature in the near future?
Well, when you say the near future, yes, she will be around. But I would predict, as I've written on my blog, Keeping It Real, just this week, she will be gone, I think, within the year, because her numbers are not good. She's clearly past her best before date, which was May 9th, and the Liberal strategists will know when you have almost what was the figure, about 57% of the voters voting against a particular leader, it's going to be very hard for her to pull out any great new popularity, I would think, among those who have now turned against the Liberal Party. So what they will be doing is looking for a new leader. And the question is timing. She will try to hold on. If she makes a deal with the Greens, she could perhaps hold on for a bit. But in the long run, and we're talking about in the next year, some say even before Christmas, she'll be gone. She'll be looking for other opportunities, as they say, because the Liberals will realize they need a new blood, they need to renew, and give a new face to the Liberal Party, a new message, and somebody who just doesn't do photo ops and wear hard hats and expect that's going to impress the voters.
Well, maybe somebody who does more than promise big, wide bridges that will just result with choke points a little further down the road.
Well, the thing is, you can make promises. You can make massive promises. The voters love massive promises. Ask Kim Campbell, who tried to tell the truth in an election campaign about taking on inflation and things like that, and of course she got defeated, among other reasons, but she was too honest. People do like, big projects to be announced and benefits, and we're all going to live as millionaires. People do like that, ask Donald Trump. But the thing is, Christy Clark has used that. She's now done that, the LNG and all this kind of stuff, and we're all going to be rich, and Heritage Fund and the whole bit. And once you've used it and nothing really comes to fruition, it gets very tiring very fast. It gets very tired very fast also. So what you need is a new leader who will bring new hope, new charisma maybe, a new sort of, all the parties do this. You get one or two kicks at the cat, and if it doesn't work, they bring in somebody else who will make all kinds of great promises. They all do that. And I think her promises are spent. Her vision is, this time, it was hold the course. You notice there were no major promises because I think the Liberals knew that she had no credibility in that regard with most voters, so they tried to push the stability and hold the course, and we're on the right track, and the statistics are good. And clearly it shows the voters weren't interested in that. They wanted something that offered a change. They wanted something that offered new hope or opportunity. And they, in effect, voted against, in larger numbers than were expected, they voted against the Liberals and Christy Clark.
We'll have more with Harvey Oberfeld right after the break.
I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
I'm Brian Fowler, President of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineered gold mine in the Atlan District of northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Harvey Oberfeld. Harvey, if Christy Clark does step down as Liberal leader in BC, do you see any opportunists there ready to take her place?
I would think behind the scenes there's a few people, maybe Michael DeYoung, maybe Todd Stone. They might even look for somebody outside to come in and say, well, I'm not part of that group that you've all become bored with. But that's a long way away. If there's any machinations taking place, it's taking place quietly behind the scenes and some of the strategists and things like that. But I really am not ready at this point to say who will, try to seize the opportunity. But clearly, there will be people who would be interested in the job.
The real behind-the-scenes negotiations, I would imagine, are between the Greens, the Liberals, and the Greens and the NDP.
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, because a lot of people are suggesting, well, it would be a natural thing for the Greens to support the NDP. And yes, that is true. They are certainly closer ideologically. But think about it. One of the blogs I did after the election results was that the Greens should really think whether they're looking at the short term or the long term. If they're looking long term, their goal is to replace the NDP as the alternative to the Liberals. Well, you don't replace the NDP as alternative by propping them up. What you want to do is you want to push the NDP aside. So if the Greens are looking at long term, hopefully gaining power in their view, they would be better perhaps to support the Liberals, because then you've got Andrew Weaver in the news every day talking about what his position is in supporting the Liberals, how he's changed Liberal legislation, or how he's meeting with Christy Clark or whoever, and basically raising the profile of the Greens as a possible new opposition party or alternative to the Liberals. By propping up the NDP, what the Greens would be saying is, yes, we're going to get some short-term benefits out of this, some proposals we like, but it will be Horgan taking the credit, it will be the NDP taking all the credit, and basically the Greens would just be a rump to an NDP government. And I don't see any long-term benefits in the Greens in doing that, because the real competition for the progressive vote, if you want to use that term, against the Liberals is the NDP. Well, you don't want to support your competitor. You really want to push your competitor aside, replace the competitor as the new opposition party, so to speak, and you do that better by getting more publicity for yourselves by supporting the government in power as an alternative, short term, of course, in the hope that you will raise the profile of your own party rather than just raise the profile of the NDP and maybe give them a chance to show that they can govern quite well.
Could Christie dangle a carrot like the environmental ministry to the leader of the Greens?
Well, I think there could be a few cabinet ideas. What the Greens really want, they talk about proportional representation. They talk about the need for better environmental planning, and they talk about getting money out of the election process. And I think, especially the latter one, I think the Liberals would be ready to move on that, quite easily. Get the big corporate money, get the big union money out. As far as proportional representation, we have to remember it was that was proposed before, and it came pretty close to passing. So I think you could see Christy Clark and the Liberals showing some interest in reviving that as a sop to the Greens, and also pointing forward that they too even are in agreement with that idea. So there you go. There's two things right there. As to which exact environmental post or something they give to Weaver, I'm not sure. I mean, that would be part of the negotiations that are now taking place. But I think the real question is to be answered is whether the NDP is offering Weaver and the Greens more in the short term, whereas the Liberals are offering, something to help sustain the Greens in the public view, and they have to decide which picture they want to take.
We'll have more with Harvey Oberfeld right after this.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
In Goddard we trust.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Harvey Oberfeld. Harvey, with a minority government most likely in BC, or at least to start with, is that good or bad?
Well, I've always looked at federal politics more with a view towards minority governments and how they work. And frankly, I got to tell you, I like them. I think when you have majority government, you basically have a dictatorship. You have a party, this is what did Harper in. You had a party that was in a majority government for the longest time, and when he was in the majority government, he became very arrogant, he became very dictatorial, and in the end, he did himself in. When Harper was when governments are in a minority position, they have to listen to other parties to stay in power. And that actually moderates their actions. It moderates their point of view, and it actually represents a wider sort of degree of consideration of other ideas and proposals and things like that. So I think minority governments for a while can actually be better than a majority government, because it's when you have majority government that they don't have to listen to anybody. They could say, we're bringing in the HST. They could say, we're bringing in any kind of new tax. They could, whatever it is, and you can't do anything for 4 years, and then we all know they try to hand out gifts in the last year and a half of those 4 years to try to make you forget all the terrible things they've done to you over the previous 2.5 years. So with a minority government, governments have less power, and governments have to be more moderate, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Isn't that, if you follow polls, isn't that what Canadians really want, is a moderate government that listens to all the issues and makes common sense decisions?
Well, it's very rare nowadays that a government gets more than 50% of the popular vote, because of the way there are numerous parties running. At least, but however, we're not like some of the countries like Italy or Israel or some of these countries where there's 16 parties. But it's very hard to get more than 50% of the vote. But Canadians generally seem to like the idea of moderation. We're not people who like something that's radical and something that's going to be, well, as Harper found out, it wasn't a matter of, well, our economic figures are good, or we're having a good, strong government, or we have respect overseas. Nobody cared about that in the end. It was his arrogance and his dictatorial style and the way he acted that really, I think, in the end, did them in. And then, of course, they came up against Justin Trudeau, who was young, who was fresh, who pushed the right buttons, and people said, yeah, let's go for that. Even to the point of a majority government. And although he had no qualifications that I could see that would have, said this is the best guy for running the country or running the economy, but people did not like the dictatorial style of Harper and his majority government, and the longer he was in power with a majority government, the worse he got clearly in the public's mind. So that doesn't work with Canadians.
What about some of the issues in BC polls said that health care was the biggest priority people had, both the NDP and the Liberals promising to cut or perhaps eliminate the premium on provincial medical services. But nobody mentioned things like covering prescription costs. And with the majority of Canadians now in their senior citizenship, or about to be, compared to the number of young Canadians, aren't things like prescriptions important?
Well, they are important, and I believe that under pharmacare, if you don't make a lot of money, you do get coverage. It just depends when you reach. I think you have to pay the first $3,000 or whatever that works out to in your economic whatever bracket you're in. I think Canadians care about things like that, but the biggest thing I think they care about are jobs. And I think the MSP premiums is a big issue in BC. I think that hurt the Liberals, the fact that, eventually we're going to cut them in half. This is after they've raised them how many times? And I think that hurt them. I think if they had done away with MSP premiums, they might be in a majority government right now. So health premiums are important. The economy is important. That's basically, again, that's part of the moderate things that most British Columbians and Canadians want to see. I don't know if they want full pharmacare. I don't know if they want full daycare, because people realize there are costs associated with those programs, massive costs. But certainly there has to be a better alignment of what the government does versus what the middle class or lower middle class can afford.
Harvey, thank you so much for chatting with us.
You're welcome.
My guest has been Harvey Oberfeld, retired television reporter, but still totally politically engaged person. Check out his blog, Keeping It Real, on his website, harveyoberfeld.ca. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or for our guests can be emailed to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.